Let's talk about how the body keeps score. With every trauma, it lives within our body. My heart's racing because what I'm going to share is personal. I feel a little vulnerable right now and uncomfortable. So I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, you might want to double speed this one. Gonna take me a second. I'm gonna tell you a story and hopefully it will show you and explain what I'm saying. Because there's a lot of questions about this. How do I understand what lives in my body, and where do I find it, and what is it, and why is it there, and how did it get there, and what is it doing to me? I mean, there's so many questions. I was 8 years old, and I had a little brother. His name was Peter. And he was 10, 11 months old at the time. And he was my favorite thing, you know. We, on a very cold, bad weathered January day, we went over to my grandmother's house, and my mom and my grandmother, her mom, were in the living room talking, and I was in the other family room with my brother, holding his little fingers so he could walk, because he was trying to walk. And he lost his balance. I didn't catch him, and fell backwards and hit his head on a brick hearth. Of course, he started screaming, and my mom rushed in and grabbed him, and pretty much right away he started throwing up, and she ran him into the bathroom, and he was throwing up in the sink, and I was watching. And then the next thing I remember is he was in the hospital, and I was sitting in the waiting room with my aunt, and everyone was really stressed. And the song over the speaker, loudspeaker of the hospital, the song "You Are My Sunshine" came on. Sometimes I think that was in my head because I used to sing that song to my brother. I just changed the words. You are my brother. You're my only brother, because he was my only brother. And at 8 years old, I knew it wasn't good. He died 3 days later. I've lived with that my whole life in a way that I'm gonna try to explain. You see, an 8-year-old child doesn't understand the world like an adult. And adults who are drowning in their own grief forget about the children. Perspective is different for a child. When I was sitting in the hospital before he passed away, everybody was running around. I remember a lot of commotion, and I was just I felt alone, and I was just watching everything. And when they weren't looking, I knew my brother was through these two swinging big doors. I snuck in the room. And what I saw was horrific. He had tubes going all over in him, and his body was really swollen. He didn't look like him. I think I was saying goodbye. I think I knew. My dad was out of town when this happened, working. And he had asked my mom not to take him out of the house because he'd been fighting a cold. But we went to Grandma's anyway. So when my dad got the call, grief kind of takes over. And he blamed my mom first because she did what he asked her not to do. And then he blamed me, of course. I'm not going to get into what happened for many years after that because it's just not great. But I'm going to tell you my side. As you can imagine, life became very disruptive and sad. I started cutting on myself when I was 11. Tried to end my life when I was 12. My best friend growing up was the Louisville Slugger, figuratively. Because beating myself up was a daily basis kind of thing. I thought I killed my brother. That little 8-year-old. Do you see what this talking about this is doing? This is an example of how it lives in our body. I've done so much work on this, you guys. And it's still you see what I mean? I found out years later. Here's the big kicker. I found out years later that I didn't kill my brother. He had spinal meningitis, but nobody knew. And nobody thought to tell me. I was a little kid. They were drowning in their grief. It's lived with me ever since. And now that I've forgiven myself, it still rises. It still lives in my body. I just live on it now.